Welcome to SKNIS Perspectives, an interactive program of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, aired weekly on this radio station.
Coming up on Perspectives.
So we are trying to prepare the practitioners here to be ready. You know, if you need to get registered, have your profile ready, have your music sample or your performance tape ready, so that when these opportunities come up, once you're registered with Culture, we can forward the information to them immediately.
The Department of Culture is building a database of artists and performers in order to facilitate the export of the unique culture of the Twin Island Federation to the United States, Canada, Europe, and further afield. I'm Ian Richards, and this is Perspectives. Hello and welcome. The Department of Culture is forming partnerships with public and private sector agencies in order to streamline the growth and expansion of all forms of artistic expression in St. Kitts and Nevis. Research and documentation specialist Marlene Phillips stopped by our office to share some information on the process and explain how locals are benefiting from the construction of a new database of persons within the cultural field.
Since the beginning of the year, we've been focusing on the creative and the cultural industries. And we realize that the ministry has to reach out to other ministries to build that relationship in order to develop the industry itself. So since last year, I've been working with Mr. Pension to build a stronger relationship with Ministry of Trade. It has been ongoing for a few years. There's been negotiations with CARICOM and the Canada Trade Agreement. And within those negotiations, there's a very strong cultural component that speaks to audio-visual and performance. And we need to be giving Ministry of Trade input based on what the needs are of practitioners and service providers within that industry. So since we've built that relationship, we keep getting invited to the different negotiation meetings that they have, and they're really counting upon us for our feedback about what's happening with the industry. So this is how we help to develop it and to build the infrastructure for people in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Mr. Pension has since retired.
Yes, he has. But as you know, he's always been a practitioner himself. And even though he's retired from the ministry, he's still very vibrant in the cultural community and in doing the activities that he's very well known for, which is, acting, playing music, his writing abilities, and public performances. So he's still very much a leader and a stakeholder within the creative industry.
So then speak to us specifically now about some of the partnerships that would have taken place, the tangible ones, that is, between the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Culture.
Well, in May, we were able to work closely with the EPA Implementation Unit and hold a 4-day workshop at OTI, named the Creative and Cultural Industry Sensitization Workshop, with EPA implementation in collaboration with Ministry of Culture. And we were targeting the 4 different sectors within the creative industry, which would be performing, visual, literary, and culinary arts. So we targeted individuals in those sectors, invited them to the workshop so that we could share information that would help them with best practices, help to support their business, to develop it, to market it regionally, internationally. We invited people who we partner with to share information. NED, which is the National Entrepreneurial Division in Ministry of Trade, the IP, Intellectual Property Office, did a presentation. We also had a presentation by the EPA Implementation Unit to talk about the opportunities afforded to St. Kitts and Nevis through EU. We had a presentation for CSME to sensitize practitioners about how they can get involved and move freely, and the skill certificate is something that they have to initiate before they can do that. And also culture. We did a presentation about our new initiative. We launched our website, which is culture.gov.kn, and we also talked to practitioners about how to use culture, because a lot of people tend to think that we're just there when you have a special event, or if you need artists and things of that nature, you'd come to us. But we just sort of widened that understanding to build a closer relationship. On our website, it's going to be a searchable database, so it's actually creating a platform to promote people in the service industry. So if you're not internet savvy or you don't have a web present, by registering with the Department of Culture, you'll be able to have visibility.
Marlene, let's just back up a bit, because there are a number of things that I would like to touch on. First off, EPA, for those who don't know the benefit, what is that?
It's the Economic Partnership Agreement. This is an agreement that St. Kitts and Nevis has signed on to. And if you read the agreement, it actually sort of softens some of the rules and regulations for St. Kitts and Nevis and other member states who have signed on to it to be able to enter into the European market. So, for example, somebody that might be in the agro-processing area and they have like packaged goods of juices, some people that do, tamarind jams or sweets or other consumable products that are well packaged, they might be able to attend a fair or a showcase where they're able to share some of the products that they have. And as a result of being able to go to that European market, they could get sales out of that. Somebody might want to import their goods and sell it there in Europe. And what Department of Culture is trying to do is to bridge that lack of understanding with our cultural practitioners to say, okay, this is what the EPA is about. This is how you can benefit. This is what you have to do. This is where their office is located in St. Kitts and Nevis. And you can go and speak to Shelley Ross Chatterton, who is the person in charge of that unit in St. Kitts, and ask all the questions you need. And she is there to assist. Since we've built that relationship with her, now I speak to her regularly. She'll send me emails and she'll call me and ask me to recommend different service providers in the creative industry that she could send information to about current projects that she's working on. And so whereas before she might not have that information readily at her hand, like who to contact in the creative industries. But because we're building our relationship with service providers and we're building that database, then we can tell her, well, in the visual arts or in the performing arts or in the culinary or literary arts, these are the people who are at the front, who are most prolific and most active in the industry here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
And so you gave an example as it relates to persons who may be involved in agro-processing, but speak specifically to culture. How does it relate to them?
Okay. We're trying to connect with different cultural entities in the EU and in the Caribbean region and trying to build a relationship through culture so that when they have a fair or a trade show or they're in need of a performance component, that they will contact us or share that information with us. So then we can share that with our cultural practitioners who are registered with Department of Culture, and then they can apply to be a part of it. For example, there was a promoter I think it was in Belgium, was looking for an entertainment act. And I think in past years, they have had New Vibes or small acts perform in Belgium. So the opportunity came up. Shelley contacted me, said that they were looking for some local bands from St. Kitts and Nevis. We were able to talk to a few bands and provide some information. Their CDs and their portfolios were emailed to the promoter. And then from there, he would select who he would want to invite. Those are the kind of opportunities that we're trying to create, that we're trying to build. Some of the EU opportunities that are afforded, you must be very organized as a service provider in the creative industries. So we are trying to prepare the practitioners here to be ready. If you need to get registered, have your profile ready, have your music sample or your performance tape ready, so that when these opportunities come up, once you're registered with Culture, we can forward the information to them immediately. I think what happened this year is that, unfortunately, the time frame, we didn't meet the deadline for the time frame, even though we sent 4 different bands information. But he said that next year, he will approach us. And
so the time frame wasn't met because the information wasn't collected as yet?
No, the information was collected, but I think when he asked for the information, from that time to when it was delivered, there was a bit of a gap, and I think his time frame, he had to move very quickly on it. So he'd already made some other decisions. And unfortunately, I don't think St. Kitts and Nevis was included this year, but the opportunity was given to us and presented to us. So once service providers understand that this is how Culture Department is trying to help them, then hopefully they will prepare themselves and be more ready.
What type of information do they need to have ready in order to take advantage of these opportunities that pop up?
Well, one, they need to register with Department of Culture. Why register with us? Because we need to be able to find you. We need to be able to help you get ready. When you register with Culture, there's certain questions that we ask you in terms of identifying what is your skill. What profession are you practicing in the creative and cultural industry? So we know definitively that you're a performer or you're a singer, a musician, or you're a writer. So we have to identify who you are, first of all. So that's why you register with Culture. 2, we can find you. That means we have your email information, we have your phone number. When they register, they also have to submit a portfolio or a bio telling us a little bit about their work history and their experience, along with supportive information, video, CDs, websites that their performance or their work can be seen on. So when you register with Culture, we go through a process where we validate your profession. And so when we get an opportunity for an artist and we know that you're registered, then we almost automatically know the standard that you're at. So it makes it easier for us to represent and work on your behalf. So register with Culture, and then prepare yourself, prepare your portfolio. Do you have a picture of yourself or of your products that are easy to email? Do you have a bio that describes the work that you do, your profession, what someone can expect if they hire you? Do you have your rates or your prices readily available? Do you have internet presence? Do you have a website or a Facebook or social network site, so that if somebody wants to hire you or someone calls and asks for you, we recommend you, we can refer them to your site so they can see for themselves the quality of the work that you're putting out, as well as improving your standards in terms of best practices. This is part of why Department of Culture has workshops, is to help people improve on their best practices. Because when you go out there into the region and into the international market, there are certain standards of business that are expected, whether you're in the performing arts arena, visual arts, literary, or culinary arts. There's a certain standard that is expected of how you do business. And I think here we need to raise the standard within the creative and cultural industries. Just because it's an industry where we actually have a huge enjoyment level for the performer and they get a kick out of doing that, we have to look at the business side of things, how you conduct business. Do you have a business card? Are you professional when you meet people? Do you understand, that when you're booked for something, you must show up on time, you must show up ready, you must show up rehearsed and be very professional in every aspect. So these are the kind of things that Culture is trying to do to prepare people within the industry, because we know what's expected and we're trying to share that information. And we know this by communicating with our partners in the Ministry of Trade, because they're telling us, and for CSME, they're telling us what is needed to qualify for those opportunities.
But you mentioned musicians. Of course, one would argue that would be the most popular request that comes in. Are there any opportunities as well for artists and other persons?
Absolutely, and this is what we have to expand upon. As Culture goes through the sensitization process, which is an ongoing process for us and something that we're continuing to create. That's why we have our social networks. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and you can see what's happening in culture. We still have to focus on some of the other areas that are not being focused upon so much. Right now, we have a lot of focus on performing arts, or in the past we have as well. We need to start looking towards the visual arts. Visual arts includes photographers, videographers, people who do craft, just to name a few. If you look at literary arts, you've got people who write poetry, people who write books, people who just write in general and write blogs, or they work for newspapers or have some kind of a written presentation online, published. And then the culinary arts, there's also local chefs or local cooks who have the dream and aspiration that's going on to be national chefs and regional and international chefs in the area of culinary arts. So we are trying to expose the other sectors. And you'll notice that on our website as well, as we have a page designated to each of the different sectors, showcasing the visual artists. For example, our painters. We have some very prolific local painters. The EPA Implementation Unit wants to go on a trade mission to the French Caribbean islands and contacted Culture to make some recommendations about people who might be able to go and who are in a ready state of business, who have things already prepared and ready to sell. That could be a part of this contingent to showcase what's here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And Curtis Mully was one of those people because he has a lot of paintings already. The lady from Glass Island, she already has items that are ready for sale. And again, that's in the area of craft, as well as, I think, we made some recommendations. Possibly it was Masi Mandisa, who has published, I think at least 5 or 6 books already. So we need to make opportunities for people in those other sectors of the creative industry, which get ignored or overlooked because they sort of happen in pockets and behind the scenes. These are people that create in their mind, they create at-home studios, and we rarely get a chance to meet them unless they're promoting some of their current work. So we're really making an effort to give them visibility, and that's with the Culture website.
So how does one become registered with the Department of Culture?
Well, you can do it two ways. You can come up to the Department of Culture and you can pick up one of our brochures and forms, and you just fill that out with the supported documentation, which would be a bio about yourself as well as any support evidence of your profession, whether it be on photographs or video, and links to website, and then it will be processed at Culture, or you can go onto our website, culture.gov.kn, and register under the St. Kitts and Nevis Creative Industry Registry. There'll be an online form that you can fill out, again, submitting with supported information, which you can send electronically. You could, attach files electronically, links to your website, etc. So we're making it accessible for all. If you like doing it the old-fashioned way, come pick up a form in person. And we're located at Victoria Road in Ambassador St. Kitts, 8:30 until 4. And you can just ask the Culture Secretary for a form.
Is the message of getting ready, being prepared, being taught to those who are coming up? I know the department does a lot of work in the primary schools and in the high schools as well. Is that message being carried over to them as well?
Well, we intend to. The theme really and truly is culture moving forward, and this is one of the initiatives that is on our to-do list. We're creating the material to sensitize the public, and this is a work in progress. We have brochures already that talk about the services that we offer at Culture. Our next step is to create some additional promotional items via radio, television, and postcard format.
And how has the message been received?
I think going from the feedback of the people who are aware of it and have come into the Department of Culture for help, for support, have actually registered, I think it's very positive. With anything that's new, it takes a while to build steam. And with a promotion campaign, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a continuous effort that we will be doing every chance that we get. So we think that we have a good message, and we think that people are thankful for it. The people who have benefited from it have expressed to us that they're glad for what we're doing. So we know we're on the right track. So it's just to build on it and to get more support and build more partnerships within ministries, within the private sector, and with the practitioners in the industry providing the service and the products.
So what would you say would be the next target ministry for the Department of Culture?
Definitely tourism. Right. The reason why we targeted trade first was because we ourselves have to have a better understanding of what they're negotiating for. Once we understand, the different trade agreements that they have signed for the country, and we understand how that impacts the creative industry, then we can move on to how to prepare our service providers, and then we can move on to tourism to say, this is what we have. This is who we know. This is in the creative industry, in the different sectors. This is who's ready. And then engage tourism to give us support in promoting these services and these products. So we're not ready for tourism yet. We're still doing our research. We're still reaching out to our practitioners to get them to believe in us and to work with us. And then when we reach that stage where we feel, okay, we've got quite a few people in the database who are in a ready state to provide services and products, and then we can help to market that to tourism.
So how many persons are in the database currently, and where would you like to see the numbers?
Well, I can't tell you definitively how many is in the database because we've only just started, and it's a process of we're actually canvassing for members. We have a few. It's building, and maybe at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, we'll be able to reveal to you the number of members that we have, because we're anticipating that with the promotion that we're doing, that it will gain more members.
So where do you think the numbers have to be before you can approach tourism?
Boy, now you're getting personal, because I have personal goals set for myself. I'm not sure how fast or slow it's going to happen. Where right now it's July. I would hope that by the end of the year that we have at least 100 to 200 members. And that might be a high target, but that's kind of a goal that I've set for myself. So I don't even think it would take a maximum of 200 before we actually approach tourism. I mean, once we have like the first 50 people, I would feel, 50 people who are willing to work with us and who are ready for anything, any kind of business to come their way, then definitely, any signs that we have of a small group of people ready to do business, I would approach tourism and see how we can market what their services and products are.
Marlene Phillips of the Department of Culture. Here's a reminder to check their website at www.culture.gov.kn for more information on this database, as well as to sign up to be listed there. Also be sure to like our SKNIS Facebook page or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just run a quick search for St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service in your favorite search engine. I'm Ian Richards. Goodbye for now.
We're pleased that you joined us for this edition of SKNIS Perspectives. Join us every week at this same time on this radio station.
This program is produced by the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.